Hello, everyone. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. My name's Eva. Thank you for joining me here in this healing session. This is a continuation of the energy from the video that was posted right before this. I will remember to go back and link both of them together. But that was about revealing doubt and deception to illuminate the truth that's like hidden underneath. And while I was sitting in my morning meditation, this idea of passion and like consuming fire, because the etymology of the word passion, and we use that to talk about like the Jesus's walk to the crucifixion, but there's a lot of distortion in the story of Jesus's life in like Christianity. But we're thinking about it in an alchemical way, and that was a transformation. Like that passion process was true to that word. It is an allowance of the light of the truth to consume and integrate and bring within, make as itself, which is really to reveal the truth that it is already of itself. We talk about transmutation and alchemy as if you're turning one thing into something else, but it is just revealing the truth that there is only one thing and everything is of that one thing. We have the power of mind to create different ideas that appears as form for us, which looks to be like opposite things. But that is the illusion of the world. And so in the previous video, we talked a lot about revealing the deception. But in this expression, this is really about allowing that consuming fire, that solar consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that plasmic expression of this next harmonic that we are expanding into and remembering ourselves as one with, to reveal the gifts within you and to center you into this creative process, which is your whole life. So the passion is your life. The thing that I think that Jesus left us, which is why I have such a problem with Catholicism, is that he lived his life in the way he lived it. He experienced the death process to show us that death is an illusion so that we don't have to. We are one in the field. All lives lived are one life. You can learn the lessons and take the lessons as your own of any life lived because of the way of the field, because of the nature of the shared mind. He did that. We did it together with him because of the nature of the shared field. Now, you don't have to be interested in the life and the work of Jesus. That's just, I am a practitioner of Christ consciousness, and he is sort of my number one teacher. But it is this way for any of this sort of sacred fire, this Kundalini transformation of our consciousness, this illumination of spirit which burns away. I think, we talk a lot about semantics and the kind of the word, right, on this channel. It's important that we think about what we're saying. Spelling and spells and speaking things into consciousness and the magic or the power of our words, something that's talked about quite a lot, right? So we should practice that and really, really thinking about, we're not turning something into something else. It's just the transformation of our beliefs. And so we are revealing the truth. When you think about alchemy, or when you project healing, if you do healing work and you're like really aware of it and you're perceiving it in your consciousness or perceiving representations of it, it's not a process of like turning darkness into light. The darkness is consumed by the light of the truth. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's important. It's revealing it to be what it really is. And so it is this disillusion of this veil, which is this forgetfulness, this idea that we are something that we're not. We're not taking ourselves from sinfulness into sinlessness. We are proclaiming that we are created sinless and that there is no sin. And that's a deceptive idea to hide the truth of ourselves, which we did to ourselves in our choice, in our free will choice, although it doesn't appear that way in the world that we live in. We blame, we look at structures that are predatory or subjugate us, but I really don't think that I really, really strongly don't believe that we are called at this time of self, to perpetuate those narratives. I think if you're called to the work of Christ consciousness, if you're called to knowing yourself, if you're called to alchemy, to know the self, what self do you want to identify with? How much longer do you want to spin on the wheel? Or do you really want to take your power back in the sense of remembering that it was you that made the world as it is to begin with? Through your choice to be other. And so going back to that example of Jesus and the passion that he left, that was a painful process for his body, yes? I really do believe that he called us to live, to say, it doesn't have to be that way. Do we experience it that way as we shed and shed and shed and leave past identities? Yes, because we cling, because we have attachment, because we have desirous attachment, self-grasping outside of the self. There are desires that we want of what we perceive to be the field outside of ourselves, and so we cling to them, and that doesn't allow us to be in our new expression because we're not really allowing the shedding to take place. The work of the alchemist, as I see it, is to align yourself with the belief that the world is illusion and we don't want illusion because we are not illusion. And so to give up, the idea of giving up the world is to give up nothing because the world is a false idea. That does take an incredible amount of practice. When we talk about effort, the effort is in the training of your mind. The effort is not in toil. It's not in suffering. It's not in learning painful lessons for the sake of painfulness being a meaningful sacrifice, to learn about the self through pain. I believe this is a distorted idea. The effortfulness is the remembrance of the choice. It's very easy when our unconscious processes run the show to say, this is an automatic process. This is just the way our brains work, to go to negativity because of evolution and learning how to be safe and all of these things. But let's dig a little deeper on that with the code. Let's let the code reveal perhaps the deception of the stories of human evolution. Perhaps it wasn't the way that we are told that it was. That story lives within your cells. But if you're listening to a narrative that would say that you can only reveal the truth of things by like going out and digging in rocks and archaeology, then you'll wait and you'll believe the story of someone else that told you something under the guise of science or accreditation. This is about taking your own power back from within your own self, to reveal the truth from within your own self. Now, this is coming through as relating to this change in perception by being consumed when we talk about passion projects or connecting to creativity and inspiration. Allowing yourself to be consumed by the process of your curiosity. By turning your attention away from the ideas that it is this great effort, this great toil that exposes the truth in me, but it is the all-consuming process of being so enamored with that which brings me, that which makes me come alive, that which excites me. And in my complete attention to that, I become one with that process, and that opens spirit, that opens your channel, to allow spirit through you. And when you work with that sacred fire, it is the sacred fire that transmutes or alchemizes or reveals the truth by burning away all that which is false, which is really just to consume it, integrate it back into itself. I also believe that this is the technology of forgiveness. When we don't reject that which we see outright, we get curious about it, and when we align ourselves with the power of the will, that we are not afraid to look, and so we see it for the truth of what it is, which is illusion. This is how the Holy Spirit sees. This is how we work in one-on-one sessions. We don't investigate illusions. We illuminate. We reveal them, and then they are no more. Could that be? I believe yes, I do. I believe that is what I have been shown. That is what I have chosen. And that is what is revealed through my own process. That's what I'm excited about. That's what interests me. How? How do we bring this through ourselves? How do we investigate in joy? How do we allow creativity and divine inspiration and spark and what we're interested in consume that which is false? I believe this is the true enlightened definition of passion. This kind of passion shifts our perception. So it is both. I talked about David Lynch in my last video too, but I've been watching a lot of his talks. He was really into transcendental meditation, and he talked about not necessarily going into trance to get the ideas, to pull them out, but to allow the rest of your life to be more enlightened. You go back into trance to sort of drink from the well of yourself, to let your mind go, let your thoughts go, to return back into that eternal pool, that eternal oneness, to feel that, to have that strength in you, to have that then proliferate out into your physical existence and the life that you're leading in your personality, so that at all times and points does that inspiration come. So we want to follow the thread of the codes that were coming out before in the previous video, to continue to allow all kinds of multi-dimensional, multi-realm, interdimensional, time-space, infinite earths, right? All relevant attachments throughout ideas of hierarchy and planes and order to come through. Any deceptions, really focusing on deceptions, because that's what's being revealed in the world. And so when we reveal it from us, it kind of like speeds up the process in the world that we observe, because that's what we're doing within us, and the world is a projection of what is within us. So we don't wait for the world to catch up. We choose to continue to reveal the deception from within us by what we believe of ourselves in the false, to have that, the last book of the Bible is called Revelation, right? So like, if you believe that we are in the time of shift, which I believe, that reclamation mission has been taking place since time began. And but I do believe we are at a shift of form, an evolution of form. Consciousness informs. And so when we ascend our consciousness, that which is projected changes, is, I think, aligned with the sun and the plasmic, the fourth state of matter, the plasma that's coming through from within our cells, from within all of our subatomic particles, informed by the very, very, the ionic plasma, the force, the propulsion, the current that's coming from within. And then we see it coming from, it's reflected outward in that way because of the choice. And like we said in the beginning, a life lived is an offering. And so when Jesus said, I give my life, I am the way, he said, I do this all for you. I live the template of my life in this way, so it is shared, it's for everyone. I claim it for everyone. And so when we see the changes reflected outward, even if you feel like you're new to this, or how can I claim this as my own? I don't feel like I'm responsible for this. Because of the nature of the shared field in the life that we all share, and those who work in intention to share it, it's all shared. We have no private thoughts. Negativity is shared. The ego is shared. The web of illusion is also shared. And that's important to recognize because you don't learn how to do, you remember that you're doing it. You don't learn how. It's a natural process. That's how the world is created. So you remember that you're doing it. But it's important to realize that when you're consciously offering it, and you consciously remember that the field is shared, then you can claim the work done by others for yourself, because that's why they did it. Those who are truly offering the way of unity do it for themselves, which they understand is doing it for all others, because that's the nature of understanding that giving and receiving are one. I cannot be free unless I see you free, because that is the nature of what we are. And so all of the work being done for the reclamation of this consciousness, for the freedom of this realm, not just humans, all that live in this universe, for the freedom of this hologram, that we offer it to the field and we can accept the deeds of others as our own because of what we are. It is our choice to do that in love or to do that in separation. We remember the choice. So we want to move into the code, immediately releasing out of the heart space, connecting to this solar fire, the heart of the sun, connecting to the consciousness of the great rays, kinindria torquoias nandritis ishintio kurkuin, kinindria porritis ni kinindis in sandratus orquayat, kinandritis in sayash nindritis, isiasundru amahanta, ari nindritis natriki, hiaritios orrais niun chatratis, sandruatas, connecting to your value. Sotruata indicanatratosot. We've talked a lot about this creative economy, this divine feminine resurrection of the creative economy, this community, this unity that's coming through to replace, ascend the slave-based economy that we live in currently. This is very related to that. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'll link that work below. But we're going to continue to be doing that until we see it done. Hinindritis insio korrukuisinjiskiat arat, ritis nandraision sotoshimitiakaya, rait o mahan rianison soko inja kata isi, sinindri harihition yamnat, hini haraya kini sinsitriato korrok, himindri kitayosu, shanandria son socorrohinat. Sayayo torrohit amahasana, shamahana tayani hinitaya, sadritis insihishi orrukuisiamaitis, sandritis ot orrukuision sotroisis shaya, hinatraya korrukuisi porrut, ritataya kinandis insitishi, araya sonsokotitat. Bringing through deceptions in relationship. This is important to understand. This is not just about your friendships or your romantic relationships or your familiar relationships or your neighbors or whoever, people you work with. This is the relationship that you have agreed to enter into systems-wide, archetype-wide, paradigm-wide, culturally, religious, traditions of your family, traditions of your geography, spiritual lineage, galactic lineage, agreements, contracts, some people call them. Bringing these to the fore, if they are made in illusion, if they are made in deception, we are rescinding agreement at this time. We choose to see the light of the truth. And we offer forgiveness through our sight of the truth in the whole situation. We choose to see ourselves returning back to the self meeting self. Kinandratisik, we say, This is not in alignment. Kiraya tokurkuisi tash. And I promise you, if you intend to know yourself, if you intend to illuminate and purify your being, that which is not of unified expression will be made extremely clear to you. Kiraya satri kuyokorukut. It's important that when it does, you don't deny it. You say, I'm taking responsibility for this being here. That's all that you need to do. You have to let it be easier than we let it be. Kiriataritio socorruisa masanchi kinindrikiandaya kiaisandarayayot. Rato sokoriatishikidi rasokoasa. And if there are persistent things that you keep struggling with, things that you're seeing at deeper and deeper and deeper levels that still seem to be there, kinandritis iorukuinatra sansakidis itikiatis. This is not evidence for the power of illusions. It's evidence, or their reality. It's the evidence of the power of your mind. Kianatis iorukunchantratis natri. It's the evidence of the power that you have given attachment to the idea of without. Kinantrakina uruhun mitianit. Kidiyat arahaya kuno yishinindritis. Sionchokorruhinindritis ingiataya karato sokoyisikia. And so as you continue to work with this healing, or any of the healings that I do or that you do for yourself or with others, continue to bring to mind, to reveal from within you these depths, that which you have hidden from yourself. It will be illuminated as you intend. Don't be afraid to see. And as we move forward in this, as we move deeper into this transmission, we are bringing through ideas of kitais yoshakayas notroat, listening. They're bringing through this idea of like passive and active force. We need to dismantle the idea that passivity is negative. This is that part of the stillness when we go into the trance, when we go into the meditation, when we allow our limitations to be dissolved, our ideas of self. Some people call this becoming nothing, right? This is the passivity we're talking about. To enter into a space where you can receive easily, where you can receive information easily. Rukuat, of the self. Shondrokoinit, you make yourself passive in the sense that you are not actively intervening upon or interposing between yourself and the information that's coming through from yourself. Rakudit urukoin shotrokana sinsikiatas. Shinindrikinan ritis orkoin. Raya sunsokunishan saki. Sipioso ashanihinin tayana ra to urukoin samahinindri. Hitikiniandara urut. Urukushipiti sansatra isni shinindri kinindiatas. Hinindri kinisot uruku shikirikas. And we are, yes, revealing traditions of needing an intermediary. There are enlightened beings, there are enlightened roles, which I think are mainly forgotten, but we are reclaiming them. That is the work of our lives, the work that I've chosen, to the idea of priest or priestess as an intermediary. I was raised Catholic, so what's coming through my consciousness is this idea that you like have to confess to a priest and that you can't like directly talk to God. I don't believe that, obviously, which is not to say that the function of conduits, or those which make it easier to interface with the divine for others that are at different steps of their journey, is not an enlightened role, because I do believe that it is. I just really believe that we're reclaiming that in a way that is not hierarchical, or in a way that leads people to believe that they can't do it themselves. But it's an aid for you to do it yourself. The role of the teacher is always so the student doesn't need the teacher. The role of the teacher is not to make your students dependent upon you. It is to free them from their constrictions of what they believe they don't already have. Sia takaritis non druatayana rei korkunim natratos, sokorkuis andrakonash, sakaru rukuis matrikini di doyonotosa, satokanata isan sakarit, gritios orkuisi kirinditi anandai yahyo koyo sotaya, shamandai sikiondo korkuisa mahtai siotokonindriki atas. And so it is to reveal the teacher within you. Christ within you, Christ the great teacher. Christ is what you are. It's not a being separate from you. It's a field of your being. There are many throughout the universal field who have claimed this for themselves, who will teach you. They teach you from within themselves. You don't really see them as different beings. They might appear to you that way at first because that makes it easier on us to understand and to accommodate them, to allow them in. But ultimately, in unity practice, we would shed the difference between. There is no difference. Sinta konondroap tison sokoti shingiri tiatat, knindri tisikiri shiki, sioto konindarato sunchi kinindu borru kinindi singiosh. Haratos umsakinindritis natratos umsash, sansakinindishindiorquis ayuntorquatat, kinindisikikai, hiorrukinimiti anda kinindishikirikinda urruquindo yoporquitiat. Kinindisinzitishinsia tainziot, orro hidikiera itionor non de biendisiki, hindikinan hinindisishindorquidisanashi. Kinindiosun so konindritio soko ashaka, hiananti kana inindior quiesiatis. Shin sansataraisio sora hatosun sa kinindisin setisa, si sayasun troatisum so orro quiesietesi, hinindi santi teata kinandata it, hineanda kini, hinindor kinindritisies orroquietitatis. Samahtat inium orukinit, samba shatikanian sai, hinindo korukini marahatos. Steve, sieto korukuiti anititisi tisikitiatas. Hinianta kinindri tisikiasite tisiotos en satanaini anta omna. Hiriatain siti shindor kunindikiti sioporukun. Sinsi kinindior koyasa kinandritis ionzo koyeshituyos sor hiriata insa kanash natratos sakiriti shingiriata sayata. And now we move into this phase of the healing where we're kind of connecting to this idea of a beginner's mind and also neutralizing definitions of like immaturity being negative. The work is to neutralize all symbols, so that they can be used to our highest benefit. Everything here is for our benefit. We can look at everything that happens, everything we interact with as our spiritual teacher. But the highest way that we can do that, or the most expanded way, with most remembrance, is to neutralize them. We remove past definitions of meaning, or collective definitions of meaning, and we allow them to be used by Spirit with our aligned will, as is in our highest benefit of our remembrance of what we are. So we're taking this idea of the beginner's mind, of the student, of an immaturity, but that is like potentiality. And again, going back to this idea of being really consumed with what we're creating, being really consumed with what we're discovering, being really consumed with understanding or being shown the nature of the hologram, the nature of the unified field, the nature of interdimensional communication, all of the different ways we can explore, all that which can be reclaimed by this illuminating process. We allow this to remove perceived blocks. It's very important that we resituate ourselves with the way we talk about healing, myself included. You cannot proclaim a block and then expect yourself to then not be blocked. I have no blocks. Like I was saying before, if you proclaim yourself healed, all of the ways in which you unconsciously, subconsciously, or consciously believe that you are not healed will come to confront you and tell you that is not so. And then it is within your power must be chosen for you to say, no, I am healed. I am knowing myself. I choose to align my will with God's and truth. That's alchemy. It's not to continue to proclaim your blocks. That keeps you from your inheritance. It keeps you in looping time of archetypal narratives and all of the existence of yourself in different fields that try to keep the light of the truth from you so that you keep interacting with them in a way that keeps them alive. That's all just different emanations of your ego. That's all just different multidimensional emanations, projections rather, of your ego. Deception. But we would align with our divine inheritance now, not in some hypothetical future, now. Tiatakaritis nantro kandatro. Shinindria taini morushni triata saya. Sikias nundruat hindaratusum siki tioshokur quinzeditish, no more limitation. Sikayas notro atraesit rukinandraisium sotroatish, sorukuis nindri payat. Hrakindaria tosunzakoratas nundro indriatas. Satritishi, let your acceptance of your divine inheritance take the blindfold off your eyes. Piatakarkinindo ritistatu. Kataya sunsokunishnata. Hita kinindi kinin. Yitididi ororokotatra. Rukinanat. Rukunindriatas. Rukunamatas. Satritisi. Shorkunyantratisam sakinindikiniat. Let the kingdom be revealed from within you. Let Eden be revealed from within you. I think we're ending. Just take some nice deep breaths and come back into this moment of self where we find ourselves in your body, in your room, in your home. Remembering to let this energy integrate, letting it settle, letting it emerge. And let it shed what it needs to shed. Let that consuming power be. Don't try to cling on to that which is trying to go. It's scary to change your identity when you refuse to claim the true identity. If you're doing the work, but you're still kind of split mind about it, then that's when we experience fear in letting go of the old identity. But if you continuously proclaim your identity as one with God, one in the field, one with Source, that is what allows love in. And so when you allow that love in, fear cannot be where love is, but love can't be where it's not welcome. So when you deny yourself as the reality of love, you experience fear because you're not letting love in. And we have to understand that this is our choice. And it's our choice no matter what we experience on earth, even if what we think we're experiencing is like really awful. The way we get through that is by proclaiming that the world is illusion. And you don't have to believe me. I encourage you to practice it yourself. You will be shown, because it is the truth. I am. We go back to this often, even if you just meditated on the I am to show you what you are. Ask God, ask Source, ask Creator, show me what I am. Show me the light of the truth. It will always answer you. It is waiting to answer you. It's been calling your name since time began for you to listen, because it never stopped calling. It's waiting for you to respond to the call, to choose to listen. And it is my intention and my hope that these healings help you hear from within yourself follow Christ within you. We'll do it together. Amen. Thank you all so much for joining me here. This is very powerful work, and I'm very deeply honored to be sharing it, and I am grateful always to be sharing it with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. If you're not subscribed, gone and hit the button, and make sure you hit the little bell, because I'm pretty sure that makes you see them. And one-on-one work is available. You can book a session on my website. The links for all the ways to work together are below. And I love you very much, and I'll see you next time.